end. So to my mind, it's not I mean, this meeting is really a fulcrum for a lot of the relationship. It's not impossible that this would come up, and it very well could, in the orbit of, what's the main show, which is these trade issues.
The trade issues, you are saying trumps over this particular meeting at this point. Geeta, I think we have you back with us. I wanted you to, in fact, tell us that, we're taking this particular meeting in a way, we're looking at this particular meeting in a way where we are trying to understand it from all angles. And you are saying that at this given point, Russia will not be affected with this very meeting because what they do is something they decide, while China has been an important ally for them in this very war. But also do help me understand, how are we looking at this very aspect where Trump orders a nuke testing right ahead of this meeting? How are we looking at that very angle in context of what you have said?
Well, this is a regular affair when it comes
Geeta,
to...
before I let you finish, let me just quickly bring this information to our viewers. The Trump-Xi Jinping meeting begins in Busan, South Korea, viewers. Chinese media has come out to say that the Trump-Xi Jinping meeting is underway at this given point. So it's a very crucial meeting that we are discussing about the speculations over what takes over what on that discussion table as we speak. The meeting, let us tell you viewers, has already begun. That is the breaking news we are bringing to you at this very point in the bulletin. Geeta, please continue.
Well, that's right. Visuals are in. We saw the convoy of the Chinese president come in, and now Chinese media is reporting. Remember, visuals are always a little delayed, but the meeting has begun on dot. It's about 2 minutes ahead of time, actually. That the leadership has already met and the meeting begins. It is going to be crucial. The nuclear test coming at the heels of this meeting certainly is messaging. When Donald Trump landed in South Korea, North Korea tested a cruise missile too. Again, that's messaging. And the fact that Donald Trump only recently has come out and put out a statement that if countries and I quote him here, because of other countries' testing programs, I have instructed Department of War to start testing our nuclear weapons on an equal basis. So you also have a response, a reaction coming in from the United States of America. This is certainly upping the ante when it comes to nuclear, not war, but brinksmanship, so to say, between China, America, and China in the region. And I do agree that, yes, Russia could be discussed in the room in terms of Donald Trump talking about how he wants peace, and he's been working towards peace in many areas and between many countries, including Russia and Ukraine. And therefore, the influence that China holds, it could help in ensuring that Russia stops the aggression. But that's only part of the conversation, not going into the room very well understanding and knowing what China is there for and what China will or will not do. And in that, Russia certainly, or asking Russia to do things that's not in Russia's interest, will not go down well, because remember, the news that comes out of the room also is important, where it shouldn't be seen like America asked China, and China accepted influencing Russia in this war. That certainly is not something that will go down well with Kremlin. And therefore, I suppose if the way the conversation and the way the meeting is being managed, if we look at that, yes, they'll be coming out with very specifics over here. The teams on both sides, American as also the Chinese teams, met on the sidelines of the ASEAN summit in Malaysia, and they had started working towards a leadership level meeting. Remember, the problems that China and America have today are way greater. We've never seen a dip in ties, although we have. But in recent times, in the manner in which we're seeing them today. And so, yes, it does require leadership level intervention, which is what is happening right now. This meeting is not about whether the two leaders are really going to come out and put ink to paper on a trade deal. That is still some way off. How far away, we really do not know, because they're really working towards an early deal where at least America's immediate problems to do with rare earths is resolved. But that conversation will be had today, and that decision on whether if China should squeeze America in on rare earths is something that we'll hear of maybe after this meeting as well. These are important areas, but yes, this is a show of strength, telling the other that do not forget our defense capability. Also, that nobody has the bandwidth and the strength to stretch as much. China has its own plans on Taiwan. Taiwan certainly is a conversation that will be had between the leaders, or between at least the two countries and delegations. It's a constant. And China has plans about Taiwan. They're going to start implementing those plans sooner than later, as they did with Hong Kong. They're not going to wait. With Taiwan, there was no timeline of 2047. Here, Taiwan considers it a sovereign state,
Right.
and China certainly considers it a part of China, mainland China. So we'll have to wait and see how that pans out, because South China Sea, the Taiwan Strait, is really important in the security structure of the Indo-Pacific. And for America, a very important part of its not just security, but also its data and semiconductor chip industry.
Right.
That's an important conversation to be had as well.
Right. My next area of focus, and this is for all of you at this point, and Bill, I'll start with your insights on this. We've spoken about Trump, we've spoken about tariff in this very meeting, and what are we expecting, or rather what we are speculating in terms of what might be the outcome. But let's also take a look at how this meeting comes in at a time when Pentagon very recently has shifted from talking about the Indo-Pacific region as Indo-Pacific to Asia-Pacific. So how does this very meeting have an effect on the very Asia-Pacific, Indo-Pacific region that we're speaking of, given that even Prime Minister Narendra Modi and the Russian president and the Chinese president had a very crucial meeting on the sidelines of the SCO summit that only took place a month ago? How are we looking at this particular meeting in that very light? Bill, I would want your insights first.
Sure. I think, the shift from Asia-Pacific, Indo-Pacific, whatever the verbiage is, the strategic community in DC still considers the whole region, India, quite central to that, as part of the equation about dealing with China. So, if there's been a shift in language, at least among those that I've been talking to, it's not been noticed as a major shift in policy. My sense is still that the United States is very concerned about what China's ambitions are for the region, whichever word we use for it. And more recently, we've seen a lot of activity, very destabilizing activity in the South China Sea. So things continue to be dynamic, and the U.S.-India relations will still be critical to managing the region as far as American national security professionals see the issue.
Right, Bill. Gaurav, I would want to come to you next. In 2024, if we speak of, there was a conversation with regards to whether China is slowly trying to isolate itself from global forums, from attending global forums. At this given point, with this meeting taking place, and US seemed to be a major bone of contention. The US representatives attending these forums used to be considered one of the major bones of contention for China, and that used to be given as the reason why, or rather it used to be looked at as one of the prime reasons why China might not be attending. Given the history of, rivalry we've seen between these two nations, and especially with the escalations in the recent time, what would you say are we looking at in terms of Indo-China region when we speak of this very meeting? What are our expectations on that front?
Look, as far as China and America right now are concerned, both want to ensure they remain supreme. America wants to remain the supreme power. China wants to replace the US as the supreme power. So the effort would be containment and engagement while they remain contain the other power until China becomes the #1 power in the world. But right now, there are multiple dynamics that are at play. It's a very significant statement that's been made by US President Donald Trump when he talks about testing nukes and telling the Department of War. It's a very subtle shift. Remember that the Department of Defense is once again being called the Department of War. That shows the aggression in America's policy. The fact that Russia is talking about testing underwater super nuclear drones, that takes this conflict altogether in a different direction. And this is something that America is very alarmed by. At least analysts are, even if America only says no big deal, we have nuclear power marines. They're very close to the Pakistani coast. But right now, it is a major step. But that the image that you see.
Gaurav, I'll just come back to you to let you finish your insights on that. But yes, viewers, these are the live visuals that we're bringing to you. The handshake that the world was awaiting. And let me tell you, the world is watching very, very closely. Donald Trump meeting Xi Jinping 6 years later.
We know each other well.
Mr. President, do you plan to sign a trade deal today?
Could be. I think we'll have a great understanding. We have a great relationship. We've always had a great relationship.
Will you discuss Taiwan with her?
Which way? Thank you very much, Evan.
So that is what the American president had to say. We know each other well, we have a great understanding, we share a great relationship. 3 sentences that we see having been made, 3 remarks having been made by President Donald Trump while the handshake took place with the Chinese President Xi Jinping. How are we looking at these statements? What are we making of it? Well, we have a panel right now that we are discussing this with, and I will take this question to them. Gaurav, if we just continue the conversation, but I'd want to include this aspect. Donald Trump saying that, we know each other well, we share a great understanding and a great relationship right ahead of the meeting that is to take place.
Will you discuss Taiwan with her?
Which way?
Okay, we'll try and get that connection back. Geeta and Pranay, who continues to be with us. Geeta, I would just want your first opinion on what we just heard. The photo ops that we also just witnessed, the handshake that the world was very carefully watching, with those 3 remarks being made right ahead of the meeting by Donald Trump, that, we know each other well and we have a great understanding and share a great relationship.
We have a great relationship.
Well, he also made a very significant statement to a question asked by a reporter, where the reporter asked, will you have a trade deal? He said, we could. So it's not just a framework. They're even looking at, or he at least is even looking at a trade deal. That's going to be big. But in fact, even if there isn't a trade deal, a formal trade deal between the 2 countries, and they come to an understanding of framework, that also is going to be a major development in the kind of strains the 2 countries have faced in the recent past. It will ease those tensions. It will ease that the strain. But again, this is a very important meeting. Look at the visuals. Both leaders look quite confident. Donald Trump, in his inimitable way, goes on to talk about the relationship. A very brief conversation with reporters where a trade deal is asked about, and he does say that they could. So that's a positive sign, and rushes the reporters out immediately. It's not a long conversation like sometimes he likes conducting in the White House with reporters. A very brief one, and then the leaders have moved into the room. This happened just a while ago when we were breaking the fact that the meeting has begun. Just before that, and the meeting right now is underway. Visuals of the meeting between the 2 leaders before they sat down across each other to discuss the nitty-gritties of the relations have just come, and those are the visuals that we're playing. Quite confident over there, and a very composed Xi Jinping, both moving towards this conversation that is the first since President Trump took office. But remember, he is going into that room after putting out that social media post about nuclear tests. That certainly is messaging that they are not going to take things lying down, and that they are not going to have any country reach their capability when it comes to nuclear supremacy. And that is messaging to Beijing, not to any other country.
Geeta, we'll continue with the conversation. Just give me a second here. As you've been very rightly mentioning about how we're looking at these few remarks that's been made by the president, let's quickly listen in to what exactly was said by him at this very moment that was captured.
Good to meet you.
Great pleasure to see you again.
Good to see you again.
很高兴再次跟Me too.
And we're going to have a very successful meeting, I have no doubt. But he's a very tough negotiator. That's not good. We know each other well.
Good to meet you. Great pleasure to see you again.
What exactly has been said by President Donald Trump? And let us tell you, he's also mentioned right ahead of the meeting that while, yes, he expects a very successful meeting between the two leaders, he is also aware of the fact that Xi Jinping is a tough negotiator that he has on the other side of the very table that we in fact have visuals of now.
But President Xi is a great leader of a great country, and I think we're going to have a fantastic relationship for a long period of time. And it's an honor to have you with us. Thank you very much. Thank you.
President Trump, it is a great pleasure for me as well to meet you. And it feels very warm seeing you again because it's been many years. Since your re-election, we have spoken on the phone 3 times, exchanged several letters, and stayed in close contact. And our joint guidance, China-US relations have remained stable on the whole. Given our different national conditions, we do not always see eye to eye with each other. And it is normal for the 2 leading economies of the world to have frictions now and then. And in the face of winds, waves, and challenges, you and I, at the helm of China-US relations, should stay the right course and ensure the steady sailing forward of the giant ship of China-US relations. I always believe that China's development goes hand in hand with your vision to make America great again. Our 2 countries are fully able to help each other succeed and prosper together. Over the years, I have stated in public many times that China and the United States should be partners and friends. This is what history has taught us and what reality demands. A few days ago, in the latest round of consultation, our 2 economic and trade teams reached basic consensus on addressing our respective major concerns and made encouraging progress. This provided the necessary conditions for our meeting today. Mr. President, I am ready to continue working with you to build a solid foundation for China-US relations and create a sound atmosphere for the development of both countries. Mr. President, you care a lot about world peace, and you are very enthusiastic about settling various regional hotspot issues. I appreciate your great contribution to the recent conclusion of the Gaza ceasefire agreement. During your visit to Malaysia, you witnessed the signing of the Joint Declaration on Peace along the Cambodia-Thailand border, to which you had provided input. China's been helping in our own way Cambodia and Thailand properly settle their border disputes. And we have also been promoting peace talks to resolve other hotspot issues. The world today is confronted with many tough problems. China and the U.S. can jointly shoulder our responsibility as major countries and work together to accomplish more great and concrete things for the good of our two countries and the whole world. I look forward to exchanging views with you on questions important for our two countries and the world. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. It's great to have you all. Thank you very much.
Mr. President, why did you change your nuclear plans? Why are you going to be doing more nuclear testing?
Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Start moving. Thank you, press. Thank you, press. Thank you, press.
Okay, we're heading out.
Thank you, press. Let's go. Time to go. Time to go.
I don't know what this is over there.
Well, so those were the words of Donald Trump and Xi Jinping, the first that's been exchanged. Very crucial to understand that Xi Jinping has said here that Trump needs China at this given point to in fact, oversee his own vision of making America great again. And we are going to focus on several of the comments that's been made by either of these leaders, one being with regards to how both US and China have been involved in trying to broker peace, to in fact help out those regions of instability, those hotspots which we have in fact seen develop over the last 1 or 2 years. But yes, we continue to have Gaurav, Geeta, Pranay and Bill with us for a conversation on what's been said. Firstly, I would want to in fact bring in Gaurav in at this point. Gaurav, what are we making of these very first few remarks that's been exchanged at this given point? And with specific focus, I would want to say with the fact that she's saying that China is needed by the United States at this given point to make America great again. And I think that is something which the US has slowly begun to realize, would you say, given the economic situation and some of the discussions we were having previously, be it the semiconductor chips, be it the soybean deal, be it the tariffs at this point?
Very significant statement being made both by the Chinese President Xi Jinping and the American President Donald Trump, both to create that very right atmosphere, the right environment for dialogue that is set to begin. It's begun in the right perspective from both their points of view. Chinese development goes hand in hand to make America great again. That's the point that Chinese President Xi Jinping is making. Also saying we can help each other grow and both should be partners in growth. I'm ready to work with you to build a solid foundation of that China-US relationship. So something that the cost in the United States initially is off, but something that Chinese leadership is taking forward, the G2 format. And once again, example of the G2 format that President Xi Jinping tried to was Cambodia, Thailand peace. He said he played a role in those peace talks. China too played a role in that. He of course spoke of Gaza and peace in Gaza and efforts to bring to Gaza. This is where he said the two countries can operate. So he's creating the right environment. President Trump wants to be in one as a deal maker, two as a man of peace. He may not see in these two instances. Gaza is bleeding very heavily. There have been more than 100 fatalities in Israeli attacks in the past 40 hours. But his peace in Cambodia and Thailand, there is some forward. He's crediting Trump with that. And they're saying we together can do that. Perhaps the indicators, let's move together, accommodate others' concerns, and move forward on that D2 format. We'll actually have to wait for the outcome.
Absolutely, Gaurav. Geeta, before I come back to you, let me just quickly take our viewers through this short excerpt of what's been said by the leaders at this point before we continue the discussion.
Good to meet you.
Well,
Great pleasure to see you again.
Good to see you again.
很高兴再次跟欢迎你。
Viewers, this is the very visual that we're speaking of, and we'll quickly take you through what exactly has been said by both the leaders during their very first meeting right ahead of the official deal-making meeting that's going to take place. We don't know whether there's a deal that's going to come out of it as a permanent outcome today, but yes, it definitely seems to be the start of maybe a new milestone in this US-China relationship that we have, in fact, not seen spiraling towards the downward trajectory over the last 6 years or more. But yes, the last time the two leaders had met was during President Trump's first term in 2019.
Well, thank you very much. It's a great honor to be with a friend of mine, really for a long time now, if you think about it. The very, very distinguished and respected President of China. And we will be having some discussions. I think we've already agreed to a lot of things, and we'll agree to some more right now. But President Xi is a great leader of a great country, and I think we're going to have a fantastic relationship for a long period of time. And it's an honor to have you with us. Thank you very much. Good to see you again.
很高兴再次跟欢迎你。 Me too.
And we're going to have a very successful meeting, I have no doubt.
我肯定我们今天会有非常成功的会议。
But he's a very tough negotiator. That's not good.
但是他是很强硬的谈判者哦，这不好。
We know each other well.
我们相互之间非常了解。
Mr. President, do you plan to sign a trade deal today?
Could be. I think we have. We'll have a great understanding.
但是我们会达成很好的
We
理
have a
解。
great relationship. We've always had a great relationship.
我们之间的关系很好，关系总是很好。
Mr. President, why did you change your nuclear plans? Why are you going to be doing more nuclear testing?
Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you.
President Trump, it is a great pleasure for me as well to meet you. And it feels very warm seeing you again because it's been many years. Since your re-election, we have spoken on the phone 3 times, exchanged several letters, and stayed in close contact. And our joint guidance, China-US relations have remained stable on the whole. Given our different national conditions, we do not always see eye to eye with each other. And it is normal for the two leading economies of the world to have frictions now and then. And in the face of winds, waves, and challenges, you and I, at the helm of China-US relations, should stay the right course and ensure the steady sailing forward of the giant ship of China-US relations. I always believe that China's development goes hand in hand with your vision to make America great again. Our two countries are fully able to help each other succeed and prosper together. Over the years, I have stated in public many times that China and the United States should be partners and friends. This is what history has taught us and what reality demands. A few days ago, in the latest round of consultation, our two economic and trade teams reached basic consensus on addressing our respective major concerns and made encouraging progress. This provided the necessary conditions for our meeting today. Mr. President, I am ready to continue working with you to build a solid foundation for China-US relations and create a sound atmosphere for the development of both countries. Mr. President, you care a lot about world peace, and you are very enthusiastic about settling various regional hotspot issues. I appreciate your great contribution to the recent conclusion of the Gaza ceasefire agreement. During your visit to Malaysia, you witnessed the signing of the Joint Declaration on Peace along the Cambodia-Thailand border, to which you had provided input. China's been helping in our own way Cambodia and Thailand properly settle their border disputes. And we have also been promoting peace talks to resolve other hotspot issues. The world today is confronted with many tough problems. China and U.S. can jointly shoulder our responsibility as major countries and work together to accomplish more great and concrete things for the good of our two countries and the whole world. I look forward to exchanging views with you on questions important for our two countries and the world.
So, well, quite a few important comments and remarks that's been made. Another important part of the very remarks that's been shared, or the interaction that both the leaders had briefly right ahead of the meeting, is the fact that Xi Jinping, at the very onset of it, has said that it's not necessary that we both meet eye to eye on everything. Friction lies between the two of our nations, and that is a known fact. Setting this as also one of the tones right ahead of the meeting, how are we looking at this very comment? Geeta, I would want to bring your insights in here.
A very important one. In fact, it is President Xi Jinping's comments that are significant. He talks about major concerns. He gives the importance to Donald Trump when it comes to peacemaking. There is something that was needed and important. It is not about optics. It's also about what Trump wants to hear. And in this case, they ensured that they have some things there in place in the statement that will bring about a positive momentum and a positive reaction from Donald Trump, and which is what is happening. He did talk about differences. He did talk about discussing major concerns to do with not just America, but also to do with China, which will include areas of ensuring that one China policy is not just adhered to, honored and respected as well. But mention of Gaza and mention of Thailand and Cambodia, where China has also had a role to play, are very important statements that are coming out and finally saying that the two countries have a responsibility, a joint responsibility to shoulder these issues jointly, and that's what the two countries are looking at. So one superpower talking to another superpower, so to say, and vice versa over here. These are two countries that have made a huge impact in their respective regions. They have their own axis. They have countries that they align with, and that now the other really needs engaging with. In this case, US, Russia. For China, it has always been the fact that they need to honor China's concerns in the Taiwan Strait, particularly to do with Taiwan. So important statements that have been made. He's talked about how the two leaders and countries have not seen eye to eye on many things, and that is normal, but that both countries should be partner and friends. It is important at this juncture. So a fairly decent start, but will that end up and culminate into a deal of any sort is something we'll have to wait and see. Certainly a framework is what we're looking at this juncture.
That still remains to be the question of the hour, whether a deal will be signed. Again, Donald Trump has said that there might be a possibility. I think he has always loved keeping the situation, building the suspense a little for everybody out there, and keeping the situation a little on the edge at all times. So yes, that's what President Donald Trump had to say. But Gaurav, coming back to you, basing on these initial remarks that's been exchanged that we just heard, be it the mention of friction, be it the mention of Donald Trump being looked at as a peacemaker or a deal maker amongst nations. But I would also want to understand the tonality of this interaction between the two leaders. Who would you say, just based on speculations and the events that's taken place so far in the US-China relations, who would you say has the greatest strategic leverage today at that meeting table where the meeting is currently underway?
Yeah, this is the two world's greatest economies that are meeting. Number one economy and the number two economy. One's at $30 trillion, the other is at $19 trillion. And they are aging. The $19 trillion wants to replace the $30 trillion. So that's a big joking for a higher ground that is taking place. But the tonality is all right. The optics are all perfect. Both say, good to see you. There's a degree of familiarity between the two. They're both addressing each other. President Xi Jinping is very clear about saying the right things that President Trump wants to hear. President Trump wants to see as a peacemaker, and if he's endorsed as a peacemaker or a deal maker by President Xi Jinping, it's a shot in the arm for him. So any presidential concession he can hope to make, he would be in the right frame of mind for doing so. And Xi Jinping at this time does want access to American market. He wants American technology. He wants a lot of access to the United States of America because China does depend on that extensively. For President Trump, it's the same when it comes to his agricultural products. He wants his soybean corn to be sold to China. He does want to ensure that Fendi chemicals that are on it, that pure, trauma in the United States of America, they can check. At the same time, he wants to ensure that American supremacy remains. And in of that, while you notice they've talked about Gaza, they've talked about Cambodia, and there's no conversation about any other conflict. And this is where, China is also standing by Russia in the Russia-Ukraine war. There's no conversation whatsoever about what happened in the region as part of Operation Sindoor from the Chinese side. So that's a very, very significant and very interesting. At the same time, you test that President Trump spoke of the indication for Russia, because Russia has spoken about the underwater drones and nuclear powered drones that completely the dynamic. Remember, America last new test was in 1992, and after 1992, if the next test is spoken of in 2025 for tests to happen perhaps in 2026, it's a very major signal that is being sent out. You may be an economic powerhouse, but unless you have military strength to back that economy, you are no good. And that is something that India knows well from our history. We may be in Sone ki Chiriya, but if you didn't have the military might to back it, you have invaders ruling, plundering your country over centuries. So military is extremely significant. Both these countries are working extensively, even on their military power.
Right, Gaurav. Now, Gaurav, Geeta, let me just quickly say this, that before we, in fact, await for what comes out as an outcome from that very meeting, quickly, I want to take the focus of this conversation towards what does India get from this very meeting? Geeta, coming to you, we're talking about this meeting taking place at a time right after we've seen that India-Beijing reset that's taken place, the India-China reset that's taken place at the sidelines of the SCO summit as well. We're talking at a time when India is also suffering from the tariff war. So would you say this meeting that takes place, if indeed China is, successful in striking up a deal with the United States, which helps the tariff situation, which lessens the tariff burden, then yes, India too has, some sort of hope that it follows next on the same path. On the other hand, the geopolitical importance of this very meeting on India as to what happens if a US-China truce does in fact come onto the table. How does India get impacted?
Well, the thing is that Trump has changed how America reacts to or engages countries across the world when it comes to trade. It is not a singular one policy for all kind of a situation anymore. So this the trade deal that we're looking at between US and China would be very different from the one that India is trying to work out with the United States of America. And the conversations also are very, very different. For us, the focus has been Russian oil imports, the secondary penalties or sanctions that were leveled on tariffs that were leveled after India continued with Russian oil imports from 25 to 50%. Was not the case with China, although China is a larger importer of Russian oil. and they saw that they could not do that with China. They moved back, but they did not move back with India. So thinking that a trade deal with China would end up or pave the path for a trade deal with India, I don't think that's how it's going to work out. In fact, if anything, and if you look at the details of what is imported and what is exported and what China has to offer, if they have a trade deal, it is going to be rather difficult for India because the United States of America badly needs China. For India, America is a massive market. Apart from the fact that we're a defense market for US, America is a market for India, and so we really need America to ensure that our products reach the US. And in that, if they have a supply chain, if they have a very important part of the supply chain in China, if they have the market there, then cutting or having that conversation and negotiating terms with America will become largely difficult, given that they already have a trade deal with China. So if you ask me, it has been country to country basis, and each country they've seen as to what the country has to offer, what America can take of the trade deal and gain from that trade deal. And a US-China deal early on, whilst we are still having a conversation, I don't think is a great idea. If it happens simultaneously, closer to the end of the year, both countries really finally sit and announce those trade deals, that could be better for India. While Donald Trump has said that there could be a trade deal, I think there will be announcements. But a trade deal requires a lot more work, which is what his own Commerce Secretary and Treasury Secretary for sure, Scott Bessent, said.
Right. Geeta, when we're speaking of a President Donald Trump here, he's always full of surprises. So that is one thing one always keeps in mind when we're speaking of any meeting which concerns him. But yes, we're definitely keeping a close watch at this given point as to what exactly is the outcome of this very meeting. Pranay Upadhyay also joins back into the conversation. Pranay, we've been discussing two specifics here. One, the very tonality of the interaction, the initial interaction right ahead of the meeting, and what does a US-China truce mean for India at this given point? Because before the focus goes on all the outcome, we also want to look at what exactly might India be looking at in terms of its own relations with each of these countries at this given point, with whatever outcome we see from this very meeting.
Absolutely, and a very important question, Shreya, you asked, because it is certainly going to have an impact. The intensification of a trade war between United States and China, two biggest economies, certainly have a global impact. As per the economic estimates, it is going to impact and have a decreased trajectory of 0.2% if this war intensifies. In terms of the Indian economy, certainly, if US and China trade war intensifies, then definitely there are issues as far as the logistics and supply chain matters. Also about the availability of the rare earth minerals and the advanced chip, and also there is a threat, there is a risk of dumping, because China has a massive production capacity, and India being a neighbor of China, and also in terms of the steel, in terms of the white goods, in terms of many other articles and equipment, there is a threat of intensification of dumping, and India has already raised the anti-dumping duties against steel and many other products. So definitely, if US and China are able to iron out their differences, if they could ease their trade tension, and if there is some formulation, then definitely it has a certain positive impact. But on the other side, India also has an opportunity. If some kind of a tension persists and remains between US and China, then there is a policy of China plus one. So post-COVID, most of the US companies have already exercised the policy of diversification, their logistic and supply chain basis, and India has come as a very reliable partner. We have to see that what happens in terms of India-US trade relation and India-US bilateral trade agreement negotiations, because what transpires in this meeting of Busan in South Korea between Chinese President Xi Jinping and US President Donald Trump will certainly have its own implication in terms of the US outlook towards sourcing their products, sourcing their supplies from these two big economies of Asia, like India and China. And definitely, President Donald Trump is touring Asia. He had a $500 million deal with Japan. Also, there is an advanced movement in US-South Korea deal. Also, President Donald Trump had a meeting with the ASEAN countries, and definitely with the Chinese President Xi Jinping. So, if this actually changes the entire calculus and economic projection as far as the Asia and United States business relations are concerned, trade relations are concerned, future investments are concerned. So, India as a country is definitely keenly looking at this meeting, and also what comes out of this meeting, because this is certainly going to have its own impact and bearing on our trade negotiation and also our game as far as the global economy is concerned.
Right, Pranay. Gaurav, I'll come to you with the same question, but before that, quickly let me just take our viewers through that very excerpt of the conversation that's taken place between the two leaders. It's an important excerpt. The remarks made really do set the tone of the very meeting between these two leaders, which is why we're consistently going back to playing it for you. Please take a look as to what has been said by both Donald Trump and Xi Jinping as we speak.
Good to see you again.
Me too.
And we're going to have a very successful meeting, I have no doubt. But he's a very tough negotiator. That's not good. We know each other well.
Mr. President, do you plan to sign a trade deal today?
Could be. I think we'll have a great understanding. We have a great relationship. We've always had a great relationship. Well, thank you very much. It's a great honor to be with a friend of mine, really for a long time now, if you think about it. The very, very distinguished and respected President of China. And we will be having some discussions. I think we've already agreed to a lot of things, and we'll agree to some more right now. But President Xi is a great leader of a great country, and I think we're going to have a fantastic relationship for a long period of time. And it's an honor to have you with us. Thank you very much.
Mr. President, why did you change your nuclear plans? Why are you going to be doing more nuclear testing?
Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you.
President Trump, it is a great pleasure for me as well to meet you. And it feels very warm seeing you again because it's been many years. Since your re-election, we have spoken on the phone 3 times, exchanged several letters, and stayed in close contact. And our joint guidance, China-US relations have remained stable on the whole. Given our different national conditions, we do not always see eye to eye with each other. And it is normal for the 2 leading economies of the world to have frictions now and then. And in the face of winds, waves, and challenges, you and I, at the helm of China-US relations, should stay the right course and ensure the steady sailing forward of the giant ship of China-US relations. I always believe that China's development goes hand in hand with your vision to make America great again. Our 2 countries are fully able to help each other succeed and prosper together. Over the years, I have stated in public many times that China and the United States should be partners and friends. This is what history has taught us and what reality demands. A few days ago, in the latest round of consultation, our 2 economic and trade teams reached basic consensus on addressing our respective major concerns and made encouraging progress. This provided the necessary conditions for our meeting today. Mr. President, I am ready to continue working with you to build a solid foundation for China-US relations and create a sound atmosphere for the development of both countries. Mr. President, you care a lot about world peace, and you are very enthusiastic about settling various regional hotspot issues. I appreciate your great contribution to the recent conclusion of the Gaza ceasefire agreement. During your visit to Malaysia, you witnessed the signing of the Joint Declaration on Peace along the Cambodia-Thailand border, to which you had provided input. China has been helping in our own way Cambodia and Thailand properly settle their border disputes, and we have also been promoting peace talks to resolve other hotspot issues. The world today is confronted with many tough problems. China and US can jointly shoulder our responsibility as major countries and work together to accomplish more great and concrete things for the good of our two countries and the whole world. I look forward to exchanging views with you on questions important for our two countries and the world.
With that, well, we have been constantly underlining all that's been said by the two leaders at this given point, but I would continue with the discussion here. Gaurav, coming to you next, we were discussing about what the impact on India will be, but let me just quickly set a little context here, because the last time while we were discussing SCO summit, I remember this very line had come in, this very remark had been made by a Donald Trump with regards to China. And this is when the India-China reset was taking place at the sidelines of the SCO summit, where a Donald Trump came out to say that looks like we've lost India and Russia both to the deepest, darkest China. That was the remark, if I'm not too wrong, roughly 2 months ago with regards to China. And now today we see the two leaders sitting at the negotiating table. And yes, definitely singing praises of each other, but with an alarmed tone, with a very conscious and aware tone at the very same point of time. So keeping that context in mind as well, what would you have to say in terms of how this outcome of this very meeting, if it is positive indeed for a US-China truce, then how does it look for India then?
So I've had analysts on my show tell me that you should take President Trump literally. It comes with strings attached. He may say one thing on Monday and another on Tuesday, depends on what's if the bed he wakes up on. And his statements just change. So don't take him literally. Listen to what he says and look at the outcome in writing if there is a joint statement. So if there is a joint statement, we shall wait for it. But do keep in mind, President Trump, before this meeting, said G2 is going to convene soon on his social media platform. So he's already talking about the world in the G2 format. G2 would mean one power America, the other is China. The two powers, then have that conversation. Will they then divide the world? Look, they have their respective spheres of influence, but this is where India becomes extremely critical, because India is power, and there are several analysts, including in Bremer, who've said that India has been able to stand up to countries like the United States of America and China. India and China can do so. So, India stood up to the American bullying, and you'd recall 2020, even 2017, the Dolam incident, India was able to stand up to China, 2018 Galwan, ever since. And both sides, are to move together to talk. India wants peace with all partners. India wants peace and good relations with America. India wants good relations with China, because to grow and be that $5 trillion and $10 trillion economy, India would need both China and America. But keep in mind, for this meeting, President Trump very consciously did not talk about Indo-Pacific when he was in Japan. And Japan is a very important Quad partner. Not a word on Quad while he was in Japan. Why? Because he didn't want to do anything that would spoil the atmosphere for his meeting here in South Korea with China. So it just goes on to indicate that why Indo-Pacific, be extremely important for the United States, for Japan, for Australia, for India. At the same time, President Trump is not talking about it when he has to have that China conversation. At the same time, do keep in mind, Quad was to happen in India this year. Now it's just November and December, so unlikely to happen this year. Will it happen next year? Is there still a win? We still do not know. But Indo-Pacific very clearly is a back burner as far as the United States is concerned.
Absolutely, Gaurav. Thank you for, in fact, summing that up so well at this given point. And Gaurav, Geeta, Pranay, I'll come back to you. Let me quickly take our viewers through some of, or rather just jog our memory through all that we've discussed so far in terms of an agenda that's sort of been finalized so far, speculation based with regards to what is on the table when we speak of a Trump-Xi meet. Very firstly, trade and tariffs is at the very top of that list in terms of discussion as to what is on the table. We're speaking of a time where the trade standoff is escalating since Donald Trump has come to power in his second time. He's returned to the office, to the Oval Office in the United States. Again, Russia-Ukraine war follows very closely when we speak of the list of agendas in terms of priority, because Russia-Ukraine war is very intricately, let us tell you, at this given point also associated with the tariff war. Essential for, again, next up we have rare earth deals, which is also intricately associated with the trade and tariff because it's essential for defense, automobile manufacturing as well. And we'll also have, as we speak of Russia in this angle, we have to see whether Trump is looking to leverage Xi to put pressure on Putin. It's a matter of who has the greater negotiating card on that very table as we speak. Next up is Taiwan sovereignty, which is an important point as well. Speaking of geopolitics, given long-standing flashpoint in US-China relations, this particular region has been so. And the last but not the least, which I will take up with all the panelists we have right now, is TikTok. It is US seeking to wrest away control from ByteDance. So yes, this also remains to be quite a crucial point when we are speaking of what exactly is in the agenda of discussion for these two leaders. Pranay, I'll come back to you at this given point. Let me quickly understand. TikTok as well has been quite a point of bone of contention, if you speak, for both the leaders, for both the countries. And it remains to be so, with Trump, in fact, coming up with very crucial announcements, which has sort of made people believe that there might be a chance that TikTok may be brought back in the United States. Given that we're speaking of trade and tariff between the two countries, how much of an importance does this very deal also, or rather this aspect of the deal also hold in today's agenda?
Shreya, if you see, the TikTok issue became actually an iconic issue of trade war between United States and China. But largely, it's been sorted now. And in fact, the Chinese economy in China has also kind of decided to let it be and let it go. The U.S. ownership, as far as the U.S. operations are concerned, and ByteDance has actually conceded for the dance of G2. So I think that issue is largely sorted because President Donald Trump took a very different view after coming into the U.S. to the White House, and he said that during his campaign he realized that TikTok has a large influence in his voter base, and that's why he wants to sort out this issue. He doesn't want to shut down TikTok. So as far as the TikTok issue is concerned, this is largely sorted. But we have to see that how the other issues, which remains elephant in the room, also remains the Chinese oil purchase from Russia after the sanctions. How China and Russia are going to take forward their oil trade, that is going to impact, because China remains the largest oil buyer for the Russian economy and Russian oil trade. And certainly we are also keenly watching these developments and what comes out of this this big meeting, because it is certainly going to have some bearing and some impact on our trade deal, our trade negotiation, and also the wider aspect of our trade dealings.
Absolutely, Pranay. Pranay, Geeta, Gaurav, thank you so much for, in fact, bringing your insights as to what exactly are we looking at. Again, it's all a speculation based on the events that's led to this very meeting taking place 6 years post the meeting that had taken place in 2019 between the two leaders. Probably one of the biggest and one of the most crucial meetings in Donald Trump's second term, as Gaurav was also putting focus on that very aspect. The interaction seems to have been quite a firm and aware statements being exchanged between both leaders. But what exactly will be that outcome from this very meeting after the historic handshake has taken place? That is something we're still closely watching, and so is the rest of the world. And with that, we'll slip into a short break, but do stay tuned to India Today as we come back with more details on this and all other stories on the other side.
Motorola Edge 60 Pro, the true flagship killer.
अरे बेटा ड्यूलक्स है और उसकी वारंटी तो और भी शानदार, पेंट से भी शानदार वारंटी, से शानदार पेंट से शानदार वारंटी, से शानदार वारंटी।
ड्यूलक्स, डिसाइड करना मुश्किल हो जाएगा कि पेंट ज्यादा शानदार है या उसकी वारंटी।
I killed my plants.
Ah, bummer. Try putting them in the shower.
On it. Am I supposed to be in the shower with them?
Definitely not.
The all-new Motorola Razr 60, dangerously cool.
Motorola Edge 60 Pro, the true flagship killer.
I killed my plants.
Ah, bummer. Try putting them in the shower.
On it. Am I supposed to be in the shower with them?
Definitely not.
The all-new Motorola Razr 60, dangerously cool.
Motorola Edge 60 Pro, the true flagship killer.
Hi, here are the top headlines presented by Motorola. Amit Shah on NDA's CM face says, no vacancy for CM post in Bihar. Rahul Gandhi attacks PM Modi, says he can do anything for votes. Rohit Sharma becomes oldest #1 batsman in ICC ODI rankings.
We have to go that side. इस बार चुनाव में क्या करेंगे? So as a first-time voter, what will be playing on your mind? Shouldn't we be comparing Bihar to what is happening in other states? महिलाओं के लिए नीतीश कुमार ने किया कुछ? आप ही कॉलेज से मैंने पढ़ाई की है, so मैं मारिया हूँ।
लालटेन बारलाई बतिहार बारलाई मोदी के राज में आगे तो निकल गया, हमारा गांव बहुत पीछे है रोड को लेके।
इलेक्शन में वोट जीतने के बाद ही सभी गायब हो जाता है।
Make your media plan smarter with India Today Live TV on your connected devices. Amplify your brand with 100 million smart internet viewers. To advertise, mail us at sales@aajtak.com. Make your media plan smarter with India Today Live TV on your connected devices. Amplify your brand with 100 million smart internet viewers. To advertise, mail us at sales@aajtak.com.
Welcome back, viewers. You're watching First Up on India Today, and at the very top of this segment, we are now quickly shifting our focus a little from the Trump handshake to more news that's coming in. This is closer to home, wherein cloud seeding flops. Delhi continues to choke. This is the air condition that we are bringing to you, the air quality index that we're bringing to you from the national capital. East Delhi air quality enters severe category, air quality of over 400 in some parts of Delhi. Cloud seeding on hold, no artificial rains, and the worst affected areas, let us tell you at this given point, is Vivek Vihar, which is at 415 and it's severe condition. Anand Vihar, which usually sees one of the highest every season when we are speaking of an AQI drop, 409. And again in the severe category, Wazirpur, 394. 2 monitors in severe category at this given point. 32 of the 38 AQI monitors showing very poor category air quality index at this point. Concerning for sure for the residents of the national capital as we speak, because this has been a bone of contention for the previous government and the current regime, which has been elected in the month of January at this given point, that whether they are able to tackle the pollution problem, the air pollution problem for Delhi. And at this given point, cloud seeding was something they were banking on, but it seems to have flopped at this point with no true effect seen on the ground. Amit Bhardwaj joining me on the broadcast to bring us more details on this. Amit, request you to tell us where you are exactly. We can see you're already wearing a mask, given the air quality being in quite a concerning stage at this given point, with winter setting in, stubble burning taking place, a lot of contributing factors to the lowering AQI.
Shreya, I'm standing at Akshardham Temple and we are getting visuals from Akshardham straight for our viewers to understand how conditions in the national capital has actually plummeted overnight. Till yesterday evening, a lot of people around Delhi were looking at that app, the AQI monitors across Delhi, and feeling a sense of relief because it had not touched 300 mark. But overnight, there is a skyrocketing in those numbers, air quality worsening, and now we are at a stage where the overall AQI of the national capital is at 357, with Anand Vihar and Vivek Vihar, both of them being in severe category. This is Akshardham Temple. I can certainly tell our viewers, the visibility from your eyes, if you look at Akshardham Temple, is tremendously reduced this morning. You might feel that Delhi winters have already come, or possibly you are in Himachal or Uttarakhand, where the fog has taken over the sky, but this is smog, remember. And that is why it is even more necessary for people to be actually really alert, at this point in time, because, Shreya, it happens to be so that many of Delhiites might be dropping their children off to school, to their school buses, without masks. And this is an advisory, a request, an appeal that's being continuously given by the health experts, that it is time to pick up your mask that can protect you from PM 2.5, because prolonged exposure to such bad quality of air could actually pose health concerns for your children, for elderly, those with respiratory issues. And Delhi certainly looks really dull this morning because of the thick layer of smog that has engulfed the entirety of the national capital. And the picture in Noida is even worse. The adjoining areas are also choking with this bad quality of air. And as you were also mentioning, Shreya, that artificial rains have been put on hold because weather conditions are not favorable, but it has also triggered a tremendous political battle over pollution between Bharatiya Janata Party and Aam Aadmi Party. Back to you.
Absolutely, Amit. When you speak of the AQI and the condition at this point, I think you very rightly mentioned, I remember only a few days ago when you were standing at the same spot and showing Akshardham, how clearly visible it was from this very bridge, and now it hardly can be spotted from where you're standing. So this is the time, viewers, let's also tell you, yes, please do use your masks, and it is an important time where we do request people to use masks, to follow guidelines that's being issued by health experts and the government at this given point, but the health department specifically, air purifiers, all of it, especially for children and the elderly who are really sensitive to, in fact, developing respiratory problems during this season in the national capital. But, Amit, what really seems disheartening probably for the residents of NCR is the fact that there was hopes from this very cloud seeding that they were trying to bring in. So if you could just get into the details of the trajectory it took, because the government looked very hopeful with cloud seeding around the time of Diwali, that yes, once Diwali is over, they will get the plan, get the ball rolling, get the plan set into motion, and now it suddenly seems to have flopped suddenly. What exactly happened with that very cloud seeding journey? If you could just give us the details of that.
Shreya, if you would remember, for the past 2 to 3 days, we had clouds hovering over the national capital, and it felt like that it's going to be rainy any time. The climatic conditions were supposed to be favorable around Chhath festivities in the national capital, and that is why the government agencies, and more so the IIT Kanpur team, had prepared themselves, geared themselves up to carry out cloud seeding in the national capital. Multiple attempts of cloud seeding were carried out in Delhi, in different parts of the national capital, including North Delhi. However, the desired results were not achieved. Now, IIT Kanpur experts are saying that, look, we were indicated that humidity levels could be higher in Delhi, which could actually lead to, successful attempts of cloud seeding and hence artificial rains. But when this experiment was carried out, the trials were carried out, the humidity was nearly 10 to 15%. Because of which the artificial rains did not happen in Delhi, despite cloud seeding that was conducted by the IIT Kanpur team of experts. Now what they are hoping and waiting for is that humidity level will increase, after which this cloud seeding can be carried out again. Now, for our viewers to understand, cloud seeding is actually conducted in the clouds which are slightly lower in the surface, so that the aircraft goes there, bursts are carried out, and cloud seeding is done. And then it is hoped that artificial rains will happen. As far as the higher clouds are concerned, the experts, the CAQM, the CPCB, as well as the IMD, in its expert opinion, which was told to the Parliament as well in December 2024, is that cloud seeding for the higher up clouds is not possible because of the aircraft limitations, and hence there are a lot of technical questions around it as well. But as far as Delhi government is concerned, they are saying the team of experts are now waiting for the IMD to actually get back to them, telling them that the humidity level in the national capital has gone beyond 25%, and then it could be reconducted. Back to you.
Right, Amit. Thank you for bringing us all those details with regards to what exactly happened, why it didn't work out, and now viewers to be very, very careful when they are stepping out, especially for the elderly and the children, who are the most vulnerable at this time of the season when we speak of the air quality worsening in the national capital. And those were the very updates that we're leaving you with at this very point before we shift our focus to some more news. Now we're shifting our focus to breaking news that's coming in. This is a shocking Bihar poll attack on camera that's been caught on camera, on cam. Let's tell you, there's a mob attack that's taken place wherein the mob attacks an NDA candidate in Gaya. Alleged RJD goons behind deadly attack. On camera, NDA candidate has been thrashed and injured, as you can see in these very visuals. The car being completely smashed. Modi Mantri Manji slams Bengal-like attack. The BJP warns this is Jungle Raj reloading. HAM candidate Anil Kumar from the Tikkari Assembly constituency in Gaya was attacked during a public outing. The HAM candidate Anil Kumar's vehicle was attacked, as you can see on the screen, with bricks and stones being thrown, and he was also injured in the very process. This is the very video that we are bringing to you, viewers, concerning at this given point. Let's quickly, in fact, get a pulse of what exactly went down when we are bringing to you this very news. That's the very moment of the attack that we are bringing to you, caught on camera, viewers. Hindustani Awam Morcha HAM candidate Anil Kumar from the Tikkari Assembly constituency in Gaya being attacked by these group of villagers with bricks and stones. Rohit Singh joins me on the broadcast to bring us more details. Rohit, what exactly, very good morning to you, what exactly went down there when these villagers ended up coming together and attacking the car? What triggered this kind of a reaction from them, and what's also the action that's been taken on these very people that's been caught on camera, who in fact could be seen pelting stones and bricks at the car?
Well, see, this incident happened yesterday evening when Hindustani Awam Morcha candidate from Tikkari Assembly constituency Anil Kumar was in the Ghora village in Gaya district, where he was campaigning. And remember, a similar incident had happened a few days earlier also while he was campaigning in the same village. And the incident basically relates to the anger that was seething in the villagers over non-construction of a road in the village, which they had been demanding for last several years. And because the road had not been constructed, and that is why when the candidate here, Anil Kumar, once again came to the same village to campaign, all hell broke loose, and we saw that how angry villagers started shouting against the candidate Anil